team. Thanks for being with us today. And I'm sure this metric, along with a few others, you guys are approaching EBIT profitability. I'm sure that felt almost unthinkable earlier this year. Explain how COVID headwinds turned into a tailwind.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I think it's been a tough year for transportation and certainly for Lime. But I think one of the things that's been incredible was that as cities exited shelter in place, we saw our revenues come back much faster than we expect because riders are looking for a safe way to move around. And, our scooters and e-bikes are open air, single passenger. And what we saw was that our revenues came back much faster than we expect. We also took COVID to really control and improve our internal operations. We've extended the life of our scooters, we improved our labor operations, and we made some hard cuts in our HQ side. And I think that combined with the fact that, we're the world's largest micromobility provider, which means that we're geographically diverse and allowed us to weather COVID better as various areas had COVID spikes. Those combinations allowed us to deliver a profitable Q3 this year.
Right. I remember when you guys shut down entirely for at least a few weeks there. And also back in April, you guys raised money from Uber that valued the company at less than $1 billion. And in exchange, you also got Uber's e-bike and scooter business. What does your valuation look like now if you're valued at less than $1 billion back then, and assuming that your business has recovered, as you say?
We're going to let the market decide the valuation. What I think is interesting now is that people are taking another look at micromobility. And I think you've seen some recent announcements and investments into the space. I think what that means is that people are seeing the rebound in revenue that we're seeing, and they're really believing the future of this space. I think we're the biggest player by far in the space. We saw recently a competitor in Europe that got $1 billion valuation. We're the biggest player in Europe. We're 3 or 4 times bigger than that player on a global basis. And so when we look at valuation, if a much smaller competitor is $1 billion valuation, that certainly implies that I think Lime's valuation is in for a major rebound as well.
But Wayne, how much are you rethinking your model? I mean, we're talking a lot about a certain segment of the population moving out of cities. That's your space, is cities. We're also certainly talking about people not wanting to touch stuff that other people have touched. I imagine, your products would fall in that category. Are you changing fundamental things about the way your business operates in light of the reality that we're still going to be in?
We're actually doubling down on this vision of a mobility platform to serve all trips under 5 miles. On the safety point, I think initially people were worried about the kind of touching the surface. But I think what we found is that that's actually not how COVID is transmitted. It's largely transmitted human to human. It's exacerbated by being indoors. We have a single passenger mode of transportation, and it's open air. And so every study that's been done actually shows e-bikes and e-scooters are the safest, among the safest ways to move around. And a big reason why we think riders have come back is because of that. And if anything, I think the big focus globally around this climate crisis, you saw California announce the end of gas cars by 2035, this push for electric vehicles. We are the biggest electric vehicle operator in the world today, and every one of our vehicle is low carbon, low weight. A big part of this major realization on carbon is going to be a move towards more micromobility.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.